With headlines talking about everything falling apart, with interest rates rising, today we're talking about the Calgary real estate market, the update, what is happening. It is June, and we want to talk about and uncover some of the things that are going on in our market. Because if you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the next 6 months, you want to know exactly what's going on. So stick around until the end of the video as we talk about a lot of stats, and we're actually going to show you some real recent trends that are happening with the months of inventory that you're not seeing anywhere else. So stick around, here we go. So if you go on Google and search up Chamberlain Calgary real estate markets, you are going to come up with this page. All right. This is our Chamberlain Group Calgary real estate market update. And in here is our June up to June 1st, the real stats, what's happening. Okay, so let's walk through and I'm going to show you a few things in here. But right off the bat, 246% of all homes that have listed have sold in the last 3 months. So anything that has come on the market, 246 have sold. That means we're still decreasing in inventory. The city is currently sitting at 1.06 months of inventory, and our total number of inventory at time of pulling this was 3,839 homes on market, and we had 10,000 homes sell over the last 90 days. 10,000 homes have sold over the last 90 days. Community stats. So if this is a fantastic map, if you are planning on buying or selling your home, when you get in here and you look at these numbers, look at what's going on, you can scroll along the top, average sold price, average days on market, and months of inventory. So average sold price, if you're buying and you kind of can afford up to 600 to 700, or maybe even to 5, you can quickly start seeing where in the city average prices are for these communities. Average days on market. So once you know your community where you're living, or maybe the community that you're wanting to buy in, you can start getting a sense of average days on market, where things are at. The tab here that I really like is the months of inventory. This number can really help you determine where things are at for your community. Down here in the southeast, it is some of the fastest moving real estate in the city. It is just super interesting. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. So a lot of the city is sitting around, what was the average? 1 month of inventory. So what that means is if everything was to sell right now at the pace of how quickly things are coming on the market, it would only take 1 month to sell everything with how quickly things are selling right now. So if you jump down here a little bit further, you can start to see some detached homes and zone stats, all right? The active listings and the sold listings. That is a drastic difference, my friend, right? The biggest one that looks like, just from looking at it, is south and southeast and south. So you got the southeast, 868 sales, and there's only 145 active. So that's over 90 days, so remember that too. And months of inventory, the highest is 2.3 and the lowest, there you go, southeast is 0.5 for detached homes. For attached homes, again, southeast is still the lowest at 0.5, where the inner city is 1.9. And apartments, so you can see, yeah, there's some differences there, but the lowest actually is the north, 0.8 months of inventory versus 0.9 months of inventory. And the inner city is at 2.4 months of inventory, which is sitting around a balanced market, right? When you're between, when you're right around that 2 to 2.5 months is kind of a balanced market. And so, I mean, let's put it this way. That number is a lot better than it has been for years. I'll just say that for condos and apartments. It's a great tool for you to jump in, quickly look at the market. Would love any questions about this, but go ahead and do that. Now, the other thing that I want to show you guys is some of the stats that we've pulled. So for June, it's early June, we've pulled the numbers, and this is month over month Calgary prices. Okay, the blue line that you can see here, the blue line is your benchmark, your red line is your median, and your yellow line is the average price. So what has happened is the median and the average both have dropped over the last couple months, so I'll say a month or two, where I'm gonna undo that. This right here hasn't, the benchmark. The benchmark is a much more stable number for you to see what's happening. Your average and your median prices can fluctuate a lot depending on higher or lower price properties selling, and it's just pushing it up and down a lot easier. Where that benchmark, it's finding kind of the average property. So if the average home that is 3 bedrooms and 3 bath, or two bedrooms, 3 baths, whatever it is, certain square footage, it's figuring out that price and it's following that. So it's kind of the average home in the city. And now for sales and new listings. So the blue is the sales and the red is new listings. And you have to look at this too. Even the, let's see, right here, sales. If I do this and I hold it straight, even though it has dropped over the last number of months, if you look at that green line there, the only other time was last spring where we barely peaked over right here. And so we are still in a market where the number of, even though it's slowed down, the market is still, there are so many sales happening. And there's still such a high number of new listings coming on the market. But yet, like we just saw, we still only have 1 month of inventory. So the lack of inventory in our city is real. And if you drive by our office here on Center Street, we put a new sign up and it says, we don't have enough homes for the buyers that we have we're working with. So if you're thinking of selling, please reach out, essentially is what it says. But it's true. There is just not enough product for the buyers that are looking in most product prices, price ranges and styles and all that. But for the most part, that's what's happening. Now, as we look at the months of inventory, this again is a great way to get just a general feel of where the market's at. And again, all the way back to 2013, we were kind of in this, and 2014 was one of the last times we saw some pretty decent price increases, right? Which would have been right here. And so if you look back on this now, so this is when we saw those price increases. It was much more of a balanced and kept dipping into a seller's market across the whole city. Since then, we have been sometimes a very strong buyer's market. Unlike the other major cities, and again, this is why they're moving here, this is why people are coming here, is because we didn't have this big push and price push over the last 5, 6, 7 years. But now we are sitting right down in here. And we haven't seen this type of a strong seller's market in a very long time. And this all really started the fall of 2021. So we've been in this actually for a while. So if we end up seeing, and this is my prediction, is we are probably going to see it come up into this range. We're going to come into a balanced market over the summer and into the fall. It's probably going to drop again, because if there is not enough homes on the market for the buyers that are looking, we're going to be in the same place. And what is that going to do to prices? Supply demand, it always goes up. And so that's kind of where we could be with that. Now, this is new to this video that I did not have last month. And this is a month-over-month percentage. According to the average and median prices, they both dropped in their values, where this blue line that's hidden behind here, and sorry I couldn't make it a little more bold, it is still 0.3% increase over last month. So this is month over month. That's why you don't see kind of a long flowing chart. This is going up and down each month as we move across our timeline of life, right? And so, so you can definitely see we've had some, I think it was since December, we've seen about 11 to 12% increase in the benchmark price. So that's still, and we added 0.3% last month. So we're still moving in that direction. It's definitely slower. It's not as big of an increase, but that's kind of what happened there. Oh, the number of listings coming on per month. Okay, so this is also interesting. So right here, this is where we are, right inside that circle for May. And we did have in 2021, we had more listings come on the market than we did this year. But the market wasn't as hot as it was last year. So this is low for what's happening. And those two lines, I believe, are 2013 and light blue, probably 2018 or 2019, are the lines right there. So we are on par with 2013 and 2018 numbers for number of listings coming on the market. And may I remind you, we did not have the influx of out-of-town buyers interested in our market back then. We do now. And so it's a different market. There is more buyers looking, and there's, again, just that inventory is low. And so that is what's where we're at. The number of sales. Now, this is still the highest. Compare month over month, year over year, it's still the highest. The other number right under here, the yellow, makes a bigger circle, the yellow and the blue. Yellow was last year and blue was 2013. So again, if you remember, if I go back to this chart here, 2013 in May was right here. And what happened after that? The market kept going. This market isn't necessarily slowing down. And even though you might be looking at it going, well, interest rates are rising, things are not looking good, headlines say, beware, lots of buyer remorse, all this kind of stuff. So look behind the headlines, dig into things, figure it out, because it's not always the same everywhere, all right? The southeast quadrant, as I showed you before on our website, is one of the fastest moving areas of the city. So what I did is I started digging into the southeast numbers. Okay, so you've got detached, semi, row, and apartments, and I've broken them all out. And what I did is I looked up the active listings, over the last 90 days, how many places sold, and months of inventory is how many months would it take if everything sold at the pace of the current 90-day number. Okay, that's a simple way of looking at it. And then I started going, wait a minute, what if I looked at the 30 days? So I just went 30 days back, and this is what I found. So again, these are the numbers for the last 30 days, how many places actually sold, and here's your results. So detached homes, the months of inventory increased a little bit from 0.52 up to 0.61. Semi-detached also increased to 0.52, and it's red because that's a bad thing. Higher means it's moving towards a buyer's market. And again, 0.52 is not in a buyer's market, it's extremely strong seller's market, but it's going the opposite way from zero. Row and apartment both pretty much stayed exactly the same. So the 90-day number, how fast things have been moving over the last 90 days, is the same essentially for pretty much all of these as how quickly things are moving with the number of sales over the last 30 days. Now that got me thinking even more. I was like, what happens if we started looking at the last week? Okay, so it is the weekend, the first weekend of June, the last 7 days. What is happening in this market right now? And here it is. So here are your 90-day numbers that you already saw. Here are your 30-day numbers you already saw. And here's your 7-day numbers. So what has happened is right here is the apartments. So the apartments are making a move in the southeast part of the city. Comparing their 90-day stats, their 30-day stats, and their 7-day stats, and trying to make them as equal as possible through math and figuring it all out, it looks like the apartments are actually moving faster in the southeast part of the city. Whereas detached, semi-detached, and row townhouses, for the most part, are all staying the same. The market isn't just falling apart. This is what happened in the southeast part of the city over the last 7 days. This is not us looking backwards for 90 days. This is the last week. And so I want you to see this, because those that are saying the market's fallen, everything's not happening, it's slowing down, it's not fully true, okay? So that's interesting. But then I had an idea, and my wife thinks that when I have an idea, it's not always a good thing, but this time it was a good thing. Now let me show you why. Here's the Calgary stats, the 90, the 30, and the 7-day, right? We got the 1 week stats in here for the months of inventory. It took a lot of work, a lot of math. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do it every single month. So again, you can see the apartment up here. So they're under 2 months of inventory for the whole city for apartments. And they're just kind of floating around there right under 2 months of inventory. Detached houses, you got your light blue. has actually fared pretty good. So it was just over 1 month. And then the 7-day one is just under 1.5 months. So let's call it a 1.2 to 1.4, like really no difference. So semi-detached, so that's kind of properties that are attached together, but still not a townhouse. Those ones are slowly starting to climb when you start comparing the stats, where townhouses are staying solid, right around 1 month of inventory. So again, it's not like we're seeing some of these numbers in the trend for the last 7 days, jumping way up like this. We're not seeing that happening. And maybe in pulling these numbers every couple of months or every month or so, we might start seeing some trends. I don't know. And it might be something I'm going to start tracking. But I found this extremely fascinating because the 7-day trend for the months of inventory is on par with the 30 and 90 days. And we know how busy things have been over the last 90 days and the last 30 days. In the market. Head over here and watch this video about the hottest communities, the fastest moving communities in our city right now for spring 2022. And we'll see you guys on the next video.